Welcome back to Killing Floor 2. That's right, after 17 months and a totally not excessive amount of Deep Rock Galactic, we're finally back to slaughtering Zeds instead of Xenos. With KF3 looming over us, I wanted to collect all the achievements I haven't gotten yet. With this objective in mind, a question arose. What class is the best in KF2? For determining the value of a class while giving everyone their fair shake, we will be judging them on 5 different categories most desirable for surviving the Zedpocalypse. Durability is how well you can stall your HP from hitting 0. Evasion is anything that can get you out of a corner. Movement speed, crowd control, anti-crowd control, that one demo passive, you get the gist. Oh, longevity is how long you can last before needing to either scavenge for ammo or spend your life savings at the trader pod. Range is how far away you can engage from while still being mostly accurate. And teamwork is anything that helps your allies so they will prioritize keeping you alive. I mean, because teamwork is good. For simplicity's sake, and to avoid double dipping, all crowd controlling effects will be considered evasion instead of teamwork. Oh.
Did an EMP just kill him?
Yes.
That's sad.
Unless said effect actively hinders teamwork. In most situations, CC is only going to help yourself, and it prevents the teamwork category from becoming bloated when it should be reserved for true cooperation. Also, DPS changes based on your weapon, and comparing stuff like AoE to single target damage is a felony in 28 states, so we're just gonna label how you dish out deeps and seldom speak of weapon specifics. Before we begin, I need to do an algorithm thing. Tier list. Like and subscribe! Tier list. With all that out of the way, let's saunter on out to the killing floor. First off, let's get our favorite disappointment out of the way. The survivalist is disqualified! I know, Survey fans, it's a crying shame. I enjoy the class myself, but your playstyle is too abstract to be quantified. You have access to every weapon in the game, but with poor damage scaling compared to the other classes. Additionally, selecting one perk over another completely shifts what stats you'd have by the end of the analysis, instead of just adding a little bit of CC or ammo here and there. In a perfect world where you'd have access to everything at once, Survey would have a 4 in both durability and longevity. Surviving is your expertise, so you have a bunch of resistance, increased armor, and improved healing syringes, along with melee proficiency, increased ammo capacity, increased carrying capacity, and the ability to use any weapon you trip over with moderate success. Ooh, a free fire axe. Where did this come from? I wonder.
Oh my god, you have an axe that's on fire?
Worm reference?
Oh my god. Wait, pump the brakes there. It's me, the scriptwriter from 5 pages from now. I just noticed that the passive armor Survey gains also grants them the ability from SWAT's heavy armor training that prevents them from taking health damage while their armor's intact. This class is stupid, I love it. Your evasion's okay because of increased movement speed, some stun chance, and access to any grenade you want in order to boost this stat. Oh, I'm stuck. Thank goodness, I am playing the Survivalist, who has access to the Medic Grenade, where you can throw it at your feet and survive basically everything. Dude, there we go. I will be nice and say that 1/4 of your actual weapon list being the freeze thrower does push you up to a 3 for this category. Range also gets a 3. You have access to every weapon and we're working with averages. You do have an itty bitty bit of teamwork in your kit with improved healing and medinades, but all that's getting you is a 2. The healing ain't that great and your darts don't home like the medics. Sorry, Shadow. I got something I don't need to aim to heal you. Also, why would you even use it when you can just let your party succumb to their wounds and drop those juicy upgraded weapons? Let's start this evaluation for realsies now. Durability is arguably the most important feature since being dead is not ideal for slaying Zeds. No, please, come on. This revelation is quite tragic for our local Kiwi since Sharpshooter is the only class that lacks benefits in this area. Why, man? Why? Closely behind it are Commando and Gunslinger, putting in minimum effort. Gunslinger has access to bullet resistance through their passive. The percentage is nice, but it requires you to luck your way into fighting the right bosses for it to be any form of useful. I can show off bullet resistance, wow. It also applies to the EDAR blaster shots, for some reason. Commando is a bit more useful since their buff is an increase to armor and HP, putting a greater distance between you and the afterlife. Wait, oh. Support has a similar perk, but instead of 25 health and 25 armor, you receive 50 bonus HP. Since your health can be recovered with infinitely more ease than armor, and you get 10% damage resistance with the same perk, support barely squeaks by with a 3. Joining them are the AoE siblings Firebug and Demolitionist. They share quite a few things in this video, one of which is their survivability against a common run-ender. Husks are fairly frail, but if one gets too close, they'll boil away your epidermis or vaporize you with mutually assured destruction. Oh my god.
Is that a husk trying to blow you up?
Yes, I am so glad my fight or flight is to shoot the thing in front of me. That's an insta-kill, by the way. We're fine. Even if you can keep your distance, they'll still hurl fireballs at you to make staying alive all the more excruciating. Well, unless you're playing Firebug or Demo, of course. These classes have resistance to fire and explosions respectively. With Husks being far from uncommon, these two being able to survive some of the most devastating attacks in the game makes them a force to be feared. These resistances are also extremely helpful when dealing with bosses. Firebug is a little behind in this regard since your resistance only counters one move from one boss, but neutralizing the Matriarch's plasma beam with your face trivializes the hardest boss fight in the game. Meanwhile, Demolitionist is tanking the blasts from Han's and Patriarch's strongest moves, along with shrugging off rockets sent by the Matriarch's EDAR bombers. Honestly, writing this all out makes me tempted to bump them up a bit, but being able to survive a nuclear blast doesn't save you from being punched in the face, so you both stay in 3. But what does exceed this barrier is SWAT. Sure, they have access to the bullet resistance that gave Gunslinger a pity point earlier, but selecting 2 simple upgrades can transform you into one of the tankiest mercs in the game. By equipping heavy armor training and assault armor, not only does your Kevlar cap increase to 150, but while you have armor, your health will not reduce unless you're being screamed at. On top of that, you gain free armor at the start of the game and each subsequent wave. Sure, I could mention that as a longevity thing, but my list, my rules. It goes under durability. Joining SWAT on the front lines is Berserker. Ow. It's no question why you're here. With health, resistance, lifesteal, regeneration, a secret DOT reduction stat, and the entire parry mechanic buffed or not, you are specifically designed for headbutting semi-trucks and somehow sending them to the hospital. The only reason you aren't at the top of this list is because all the resilience you have isn't for making you invincible, but more just keeping your limbs attached to your body since you keep diving headfirst into a mosh pit full of cannibal clones. The true king of durability, whose surviving's unmatched, is the Field Medic. You have a slew of things keeping you intact, like increased health, armor, multiple flavors of resistance, and all the silliness that comes from the symbiotic health perk. But all that pales in comparison to your most vital tool, the healing syringe. While everyone else is waiting for it to recharge or begging you for a top off,
I'm here! I'm literally right behind you. There's no zombie between you and I. Let me heal you.
Zombie?
Zombie?
Yeah, okay.
What the I'm writing that down. Your syringe recharges twice as fast and restores more HP. I cannot overstate how important this feature is. Being able to heal your wounds as fast as you receive them gives you a significant edge no matter the situation. For being able to fuse your bones back together so often that you will kill the boss with starvation, Field Medic has earned the first 5 of the list.
You swine are not dead yet? Why not?
But it's far from over. We still have 4 more categories to evaluate, and I just realized how in-depth I'm going into these rankings when I was supposed to just list off the numbers. So grab your Coke and popcorn, mercenaries, because this video has only just begun. Next on the docket is Evasion. Being cornered is the fastest way to end a run, so let's see how the classes escape that scenario or prevent it from occurring in the first place. I got it. No classes without their evasive techniques, but Commando and Support bring up the rear with their only CC being the same amount of increased stumble power. Sharpshooter has finally decided to leave the starting line using a grenade with some of the highest CC potential. The Freeze grenade stops almost anything in its tracks and leaves it vulnerable to 50 caliber eye surgery. Are you serious? I just received word that the only gun surgeon on site is a Mosin main, so 762 will have to suffice for this demonstration. You also have some options for increased movement speed, extra mobility while crouched, and increased stun power for your brain busters. Getting to the classes with more evasive proficiency, it only feels natural to start with Gunslinger. GS is extremely fast on their own, with increased movement speed as one of their guaranteed passives that scale with level. This speed can be extra handy since the steady perk allows you to use iron sights without slowing down. Outside of that, you have access to every flavor of bullet-based crowd control depending on the perks you pick up and the body parts you decide to aerate.
That was normal.
I'd add your grenade here too, but you don't exactly want to throw that at your feet. If you do want to stare at the ground around you, then look no further than the siblings, Sizzle and Splatter. Oh, I mean Firebug and Demo. These two are experts when it comes to AoE, and thus resolve corner issues by aerosolizing the enemies around them. Demolitionist only has their explosion resistance to survive their own stupidity anyway, so use that to your advantage and throw a stick of dynamite or a sonic resistant round at your feet and take back your personal space.
Oh no, I'm stuck on stalkers.
I'm fine. The detonations you do also inflict all sorts of CC, and you can improve this strength to keep Zeds at bay. Of course, not everything will go as planned for you, but in preparing for the worst, your reactive armor passive will stop your HP depletion at 5 and release an explosion around you to clear a path for a clean getaway.
We're fine.
When it works.
Oh!
While Demo has ways to avoid these situations, Firebug is proficient at being in them. You have a fun little resistance that I didn't cover in the previous category since its true use is over here. Firebug's best resistance is to their own fire, with 100% efficiency. Fire spread, Molotovs, ground fires, as long as you made them, you're fighting on your own turf and the only thing stopping you is an inability to see. Not only are you great at holding your ground while covered in gasoline, but the burns you inflict can have some adverse effects aside from granting the dead status.
Bye, Hans.
Sizzling hot.
Using perks, you can make your ground fire slow, close target stumble, and burning Zeds stun their allies. But even if you don't pick up these perks, excessive fire damage can cause your victims to panic. This is in fact a form of CC, so we'll count it. The tanky frontliners are also up here. SWAT and Berserker actually share a lot in this category. If SWAT has heavy armor training and the required armor to use it, both classes cannot be grabbed by clots. This is imperative since you're up close and personal with the Zeds while lacking the luxuries of Firebug. Getting a big old kiss from a clot is an easy way to get overrun, and that inevitability has just been redacted. Those two brawlers also share heavy amounts of CC, with SWAT having multiple options past level 15 as well as the flashbang, and Berserker having both increased CC with the smash perk and all the staggering associated with close range clobberate. They both have movement speed increases as well, but things get interesting when the classes diverge. Berserker has access to the EMP grenade, a quirky form of utility that prevents Zeds from using abilities while you shatter their teeth. Meanwhile, SWAT can aim down sights or crouch without their movement being hindered. Alright, that isn't exactly the special part of SWAT. I've been trying to stay away from Z-Time abilities the best I can, but it'd be a disservice not to mention Battering Ram. When in Z-Time, your movement speed is unencumbered and making contact with any enemies will ragdoll them and send them flying if you don't A-train them instead. This ability stands out in its evasive nature, providing an immediate escape and turning the tables in your favor.
Kick. Oh my god.
But after all that, SWAT still doesn't beat the leader in this category, the Field Medic. You have multiple ways to increase your movement speed, symbiotic or not. Your poison also inflicts the same panic status effect that fire does, keeping the Zeds preoccupied with their eroding arteries. Outside of those things the other classes already covered, Field Medic has a special trait not listed in the game. Along with your bile resistance, you are able to see past the vomit in your eyes. While other classes will be desperately guessing where the danger is, you are fully aware of your surroundings and can handle approaching threats with ease. Or at least not corner yourself while panicking.
Oh, that was a spawn elevator, man. God damn it. Oh, I'm so mad about that.
Even if you do end up trapped or flanked, you still have an ace up your sleeve.
Whoa, that's cheating. That's cheating. That's cheating. You can't do that, guys. It's illegal.
Like the AoE classes before it, Field Medic's best option in a crisis is to throw a grenade at their feet and hope for the best. But while Demo takes damage and Firebug is unfazed, Field Medic fully heals from this exchange. The toxic gas the Medinade produces fumigates encroaching Zeds and flex seals your open lacerations. This exchange is strong enough on its own, but the damage it deals can wipe out most Zeds, inflict the panic effect to the survivors, and give you any buffs your healer build may have equipped. This small canister is the best item in the game, and the key to your survival. Use it wisely and the only thing taking you down is unfortunate circumstances.
dude. Oh, I was in a mosh pit. That doesn't count.
Another important feature is how well you use your resources. The higher the difficulty, the rarer the loot drops and the less money you make, so you have to use any means you can to increase your longevity. Like the previous category, no one's left high and dry, but we're gonna have to stretch a little to acknowledge everything that helps. Demolitionist and Sharpshooter both have extremely effective rounds with AoE and one-shot kills,
And crawl out through the ball out back to me.
but to balance this out, they have the smallest ammo capacities in the game. They do have some ammo increases, but that isn't going to do much outside of giving them twos. Getting into the more complicated stuff, increasing your magazine size will help you here as well. When cracking open an ammo box, the resources you receive are calculated based on your current magazine capacity and the type of weapon it's for. It's not the biggest boost, but this trait is enjoyed by Commando, Support, Field Medic, Firebug, and SWAT. Additionally, some mag increases are better than others, like combining the Commando's high-capacity mags and Eat Lead traits with the Minigun's bottomless drum mag for 300 rounds per resupply. On the topic of Commando, and we'll rope SWAT into this as well, you have increased max ammo and a perk that gives you starter proficiency. What I mean by that is having it equipped will increase the damage of your starter pistol and knife, letting you conserve resources in early waves and have a somewhat decent weapon selection to fall back on when you're out of ammo. I will say that the SWAT's version is better, since the damage increase is higher at 100% instead of 85, the increase applies to your bash attacks, and you begin the game with an extra pistol to either sell or utilize. This isn't enough to give you a bonus point, but you beat Commando in my heart. Field Medic takes a very different approach to conserving ammo. The alt fire on almost all of your weapons fires a healing syringe that magnetizes to allies. But if you have no friendlies to fire upon, you could always test your tonics on the Zeds. Landing a healing dart will poison hostile targets as well as deal a teensy tiny bit of damage to them.
Critical dart. Get out of here.
Further testing is required, but having acidic rounds equipped can one-shot any common enemy, including elite crawlers, on maximum difficulty. This power on a rechargeable meter means you have infinite ammo when not in a crisis. Even if you throw your darts at a target tougher than that, it will still deal damage over time and inflict that lovely panic we spoke of earlier. Actually, that reminds me, Firebug also benefits from the luxury of DOT, though they do have a habit of guzzling more gas than a 1984 Ford Bronco. You do have access to the only starter ammo increase passive, but we're gonna feather that fuel for all it's worth. If you play your pressure right, you can ignite as many things as possible with minimal amounts of fuel consumption and let your flames handle the rest. This interaction is key for maximizing your supplies and is the epicenter of over half your perks, either setting the ground ablaze and letting that linger for longer or igniting less Zeds to let your flames spread like a plague. Exploding Zeds, ignition-based AoE, who would have thought the best way to deal with infidels was to watch them burn? Support takes a more traditional approach to the challenge of lasting longer. Simply carry more stuff. You have a passive and a perk dedicated to increasing your ammo capacity, and a hiker backpack you strolled in with can carry more and heavier weapons. This is exceptionally useful early game since you can collect weapon spawns and pawn them for cash before you start filling your bag with the biggest shotguns around. That's almost enough to push you out of the threes, but your proficiency in penetration, of the buckshot variety, lets you fill up multiple Zeds with a single shot. Unlike other precision classes with their piercing shots, support doesn't have to bide their time and line up heads. They simply shoot at anything that moves and celebrate when a single shell makes them guilty of mass murder. With all that ammo and a nonchalant approach to treating Zeds like dominoes, support has rightfully earned their 4 points. Gunslinger, like everyone else, needs to be a little creative when advertising their longevity. It's a little weird, but outside of light weapons and max ammo, the way you interact with ammo boxes is most noteworthy. Though ideal to dual wield, individual pistol purchases can stretch out how long you can last. The weapons are already light enough to allow for effectively 3 or even 3.5 weapons at once, far greater than the standard 2. But by buying up to 6 different flavors of sidearm, you double your ammo reserves. The ammo cap for each weapon doesn't decrease when you're only rocking half the set. This mechanical silliness also applies to ammo pickups. Normally collecting these these green respites gives you 1 magazine for each weapon and 1 grenade. Due to some semantic-y reason, if you have half a pistol pair, that weapon will still gain ammo as if it was akimbo. Some weapons don't apply. You aren't necessarily going to use the gunslinger's weapon roster in this way, but the existence of these mechanics and their subtle aid provided throughout your law bringing, as well as the stupidly high ammo cap you have with these powerful and lightweight weapons, puts GS's longevity at a solid 4. But toppling all other contenders in this category is the one class that can last forever: the Berserker. With an arsenal almost entirely melee, the Berserker doesn't need ammo boxes to keep fighting. The only thing they need to restock is HP, and there's a bunch of juicy health ups just waiting to be glory killed. Backpack, backpack, backpack. God damn it. Backpack, backpack, backpack. It feels weird having the finale of a category be shorter than most of the other entries, but the Berserker is melee. They never need to restock. A few years ago, I was messing around in Endless on normal difficulty, and that match lasted over 7 hours. I died on round 101 just because I stopped touching my keyboard 5 rounds prior to make it end sooner. Anyway, Berserker is silly, 5 points. Keeping your distance is a good way to avoid dangerous situations. As such, it's important to identify how well classes perform no matter the range. Though Berserker just claimed the top spot in longevity, their lead has instantly been thwarted with the lowest range in the game. Sure, they have some ranged options, but Berserker is all about that melee, and they shall suffer the consequences. Shit. SWAT and support have a bit more distance before their DPS starts degrading.
This is a good gun.
It doesn't take long though, with SWAT having the highest recoil in the game and support with their wide pellet spread. You can still kill things at longer range, but that requires more time and effort while still decreasing your hit rate. Firebug is a bit wacky when it comes to their range. Engagement distance can be pretty short due to the reason of flamethrower, but you can counter this issue by either using one of the many incendiary weapons in your roster or equipping the Firestorm perk for longer streams of napalm. On top of that, Firebug doesn't actually need to be near their target to engage. Due to the ground fires, infectious flames, and associated damage over time we keep calling out, Firebug can inflict their in multiple locations simultaneously. This lingering participation gives them a bonus point in the range category. Engaging from slightly farther away, Gunslinger and Commando use more accurate weaponry paired with passives that reduce their recoil. Sure, they're comfortable handling targets at the same ranges as SWAT, Support, and Firebug, when not experiencing quantum instability. But taking a few steps back to properly evaluate the board won't hinder your ability to eradicate it. Similar to Firebug earlier, Demolitionist messes around with how this stat is calculated. Though unlike Firebug, this is not to your benefit. While Demo can operate quite efficiently from higher ranges than the previously mentioned classes, the closer they get to combat, the more risky things get. Past a certain distance, you'll start damaging yourself with every explosion, and that is unnecessary damage you will not want to be taking. Additionally, unless a perk says otherwise, most of your weapons have an arming time. If the residual damage wasn't enough to keep you away from the Zeds, then maybe your high explosives turning into a rock or stone during a crisis will convince you otherwise. Your range may be long, but being limited to that distance removes a point. Field Medic also enjoys the mundanity of medium range, but with a slight twist. As a medic, you are not obliged to line up next to your allies like a revolutionary firing line. You have duties outside of murdering monsters, and being behind your allies during combat to monitor their conditions and improve their performance is a perfectly good reason to step back. Field Medic's ideal location is behind their allies to keep them intact, so being a bit outside of your accurate engagement radius won't decrease your efficiency. Unless you're cowering behind the class with the longest range, the Sharpshooter. This award goes without question. Sharpshooter's in the name. Most of your weapons are snipers, and a good portion of them have scopes regardless. You may have to take a moment to line up your shot, but no matter the distance, that bullet is going to drill through the skull of one of the scariest bastards in the game before the rest of the team even knows it was there. I will admit that close-range encounters can get a little dicey, but an experienced sharpshooter will hip-fire their muggers away before same-day shipping vintage World War II lead straight to the hypothalamus of the farthest scrape possible. No matter how hard the other classes pretend, no one will usurp the sharpshooter when it comes to range. The last trait we will be judging is how well you can help your team help yourself. And I don't mean that as a joke this time. In assisting your allies, they will be able to work more efficiently and you can clear a path to success together. Don't wander off just yet, solo players. A lot of the features I didn't cover are in this section, and it would be a disservice to yourself to assume that teamwork points won't affect your gameplay. Well, unless you're Berserker, Gunslinger, or SWAT. I combed over the abilities, weapon types, and random situational interactions dozens of times and just couldn't find any cooperative attributes with these three. The most I can stretch for is Berserker and SWAT being distracting damage sponges, but there's no guarantee you'll be pulling any aggro. Your refusal to die already gave you high marks at the start of the video, and if you do face tank the wave, your team's resources will have to go to keeping you alive, lest they have a useless corpse as an ally.
Help me! Help me! Help! Help me! Me and Chase!
They are all the way over there. You are fine. Stand on that. Oh my god.
There's literally things in that.
Hit them!
There's a screamer. I'm scared.
You have an axe!
That's all I have. Oh, I have ranged weapons.
Oh my god.
At least that isn't as bad as Firebug.
Oh, I am wounded. I didn't notice. I didn't look at my HP.
Those are some big chains. Big balls, wow.
The panic you inflict has helped you out in multiple categories, but Karma has finally caught up with you. When a Zed is panicking, their arms will flail around their head and they will sprint erratically. This feature is despised by your allies, since aiming is near impossible when you're setting things ablaze. 0 points! Alright, memes aside, Firebug does actually have some form of teamwork if you squint really hard. Actually, this trait should help you not need to squint. While on the killing floor, a lot of energy is going towards being alert, watching your flank, keeping the masses at bay, trying to spot invisible enemies, all of these things weighing down on your fragile gamer attention span. What Firebug does to help is accidentally solve all of these problems. In setting everything ablaze, moving or not, you create a thermal fortress that filters out all of these little problems. Hordes of clots crumble when you sneeze, preventing CC and being outnumbered. Clusters of crawlers disintegrate when you say you hate the carpet, stopping their plans of blocking your escape. And skulks of stalkers run away screaming when their ambush is foiled by your trauma in Team Fortress 2. That's another thing worth noting on the topic of fire and invisibility. If your target's flesh boiling off doesn't disable their disguise, the flame it's producing is still visible. With all the good coming from Firebug just finger painting in the corner, I think they've made up for their sin of fire panic and have proven their teamwork over the other three. But how did it not beat the sniper in the process? Sharpshooter isn't exactly the first thing I think of when I hear teamwork. Sure, they're nice to have on a team for shoot-capitating big things, but that's not where their cooperation comes in. All the way down in the Z-Time abilities, you may have noticed that the SS has a special passive in them. Any headshots with perk weapons have a 5% chance to trigger Z-Time. This is extremely important. When dealing with increasingly insurmountable odds, Z-Time is a brief respite where every class is at their finest. Unless you quick healed or reloaded early. With Sharpshooter's passive, this slowdown occurs significantly more often, and enabling your allies to be their best selves is the pinnacle of teamwork. But what if we took that Z-Time buffing and Firebug's accidental invisibility reveals and put them together? Commando is one of the best assets to have on your team. Unlike the messiness of Firebug's invis reveal, Commando passively highlights cloaked enemies in glowing red. I don't have to tell you how bad that is for stalkers, but this passive also completely trivializes the Patriarch boss fight by ruining his getaway.
Suck.
Epic boss fight. Been obliterated.
Patriarch when a commando is in the party is just really depressing.
But that's just the tip of the iceberg. Another trait Commando possesses is being able to determine how much blood is left in your enemy's body. Conveying this info can help your team prioritize stronger Zeds like Flesh Pounds and Skrakes, as opposed to just assuming someone else will handle it. But the magnum opus of the Commando's kit is their ability to extend Z-Time. As I said earlier, all the classes are at their best during Z-Time, so Commando being able to lengthen that duration is essential. The increase that you can administer is so long that even slow motion screw-ups will be recovered from before the color returns to your screen.
Thanks for the Z-Time increase, Scarlet. That really saved my...
You're welcome.
Support and Demolitionists don't approach the teamwork category like the others do. Alright, that's a little bit of a lie.
Thanks for the nuke.
No problem.
Just like their Psycho sibling, Demolitionist has a bad habit of accidentally killing problems before they occur, and that's helping them out a little.
Skrakes alive. Wants my...
God, and a lot of other things.
Is that a quarter pound?
I was gonna say it was, but then I ran out of ammo.
Don't worry, I existed somewhere on the map. It died.
Outside of that, Demo and Support rely on supplies and holding doors.
AJ, come here. AJ, come here. AJ, come here.
Yep.
Oh, armor.
Please
Hey,
don't.
AJ,
It costs so
Yes.
much of AJ's money.
Thanks. AJ, come here.
What? You're welcome.
They distribute grenades and ammo respectively, and support can improve their backpack to dispense armor as well. Oh, you've gotten used to me spoon-feeding information? Okay. They give stuff to the team to make them shoot Zeds more!
Do you want grenade?
Thank you.
Their supplier traits naturally make them complement each other, but holding a hallway is where things get interesting. Support has improved welding proficiency, sealing doors faster than any other class. Demo is able to hop in on this and add some nitroglycerin to your hot glue barricade. Once the seal breaks on the entryway, anything knocking on the door is obliterated before it can ask you about your car's extended warranty.
Yes.
I know this seems like a one-time climax, but support can hop back on that door and repair it as many times as you want to explode. These two have exceptional cooperative abilities and are only accentuated by working together. But no two classes could ever come close to taking the top spot for this category's victor. One class embodies teamwork so strongly that without their presence, the team would fall into ruin. Oh, death!
Oh, no.
Thanks.
The heart of every powerful squad, the Field Medic.
Oh, stinks a bit, doesn't it?
As you can deduce, Field Medic is the healer of the group, and thus aids others with the all-important regeneration part of durability.
Unironic using the healing syringe on other people during a wave?
But it doesn't stop there. On top of all of your weapons having healing capabilities, your healing being improved, your darts recharging faster, your syringe filling quicker, the healer half of your perk list can distribute many buffs to your allies. Adrenaline Shot increases movement speed for better evasion. Coagulant Booster increases your resistance for even more durability. Focus Injection increases your damage for... we didn't do damage. But it's a cool thing to have and definitely counts as teamwork. A chain may only be as strong as its weakest link, but a team is as strong as your cooperation makes it. And if the local pharmacist is dosing everyone with steroids, that might help a little too. Finally, after all that talking and testing and math and research and dying and writing and reading and comparing and contrasting and evaluating, we have found an answer to our question. Assuming you either can't count or have been using me as white noise for the last half hour, we shall engage in the theatrics. Drum roll, please. The best class in Killing Floor 2 is the Field Medic. Some of you may be confused. How is the soul healer of a first-person shooter the best class? Back when I made the original KF2 videos, I had the same question. While grinding XP in higher level servers, I noticed that the last merc standing was always the Field Medic. Not only that, but where everyone else failed to survive, even under their full healing force, Field Medic would solo entire waves balanced for 6 people. The secret to this riddle is the very thing that makes Field Medic unique: their healing. As we saw in the 2 survivability categories, your syringe and medic grenade are the most powerful items in their respective fields. Having 50% more potency and 2 times the recharge on your self-heal makes waiting for your syringe no longer an issue, and being able to throw a healing cloud at your feet that dissolves anything behind you immediately tips the scales in your favor. But it isn't all selfish. With these buffs applying to your darts and your grenades being AoE, everyone can benefit from a conceptually infinite health bar and whatever roids you decided to add into the mix. Here's the complete graph for your screenshotting pleasure. You may not agree with all of my choices, but I've spent literal weeks tweaking these numbers and settled on these results. No matter how envious you are that your main isn't higher, any seasoned mercenary will agree that if any class is going to get the job done, it's the Field Medic.
Alright, time to edit for like 2 weeks straight.
But what about the other classes? Well, they're great too. It's hard to see since Medic is so high, but the other classes have almost the same score. Never feel ashamed of playing the class you love, even if Sharpshooter keeps crying about Fire Panic. Every class has their strengths, whether it's accidentally getting the most kills, supplying your team, fist fighting a tsunami of monsters, or one-shotting the mini-boss 2 counties over. Play the way you want to play, and if that just so happens to be 6 Field Medics only using darts, then enjoy yourself. And there you have it, the best class in Killing Floor 2. Some of you saw this outcome coming from a mile away, but I'm glad you stuck around for the, everything. This video is extremely long, so I'm sure I said something funny or informative at some point. Thank you all so much for watching, and special thanks to my patrons for encouraging these niche videos. I'm gonna go rest my voice, cause I've been screaming into this mic for the last 2.5 hours, and I can feel my throat constricting. I've been Explosive T-5, and I'll see you live.